Hey, what's up guys? Waga Aruji here to tell you why solo leveling is the greatest manhwa of all time, and why we should all be excited for it to finally get an anime. Solo leveling introduced a huge new audience to the world of Korean manhwa, along with the likes of Tower of God, Mashal, and a few other unique new additions to the genre, but none have had as many inspired by copycats and direct rip-offs as solo leveling. Falling squarely into the power fantasy, escape from reality genre where the MC lucks into an opportunity and becomes the hero that so many of us crave in stories like this, it quickly became the number one manhwa on all of the most popular scanlation sites during its release. Becoming one of the first Korean manhwa officially serialized and available for purchase on a large scale in the US, Solo Leveling's influence on the scene is obvious. Its animation is going to be handled by the same studio that brought us Seven Deadly Sins, but with a much shorter source material here than Seven Deadly Sins had, there's much less fear that the quality will end up dropping off in the same way throughout the animation. So just going a bit into the content of Solo Leveling without dipping too much into the spoiler territory, as I said earlier, it's a clear escape from reality with topics ranging anywhere from power fantasy to romance, and the usual family first standard that's prevalent in a lot of Korean manhwas. There's truly something for everyone in this upcoming addition to your anime watchlist, and I believe the hype around the show nearer to release could border on Chainsaw Man levels. And upon release, it could be the same in terms of satisfaction. Finally being able to see Sung Jin-woo come to life in this adaptation could be the greatest influx of new anime watchers since One Punch Man, seeing as how many of them will be coming over from the reading-only side of the community. Not to mention, with its video game aesthetic prevalent throughout the story, it could also reignite animation studios' interest in the isekai genre as a whole, as there's still a huge existing fanbase thirsty for more shows in the same vein, and we can all agree that a majority of the new entries in that genre have been pretty subpar, and honestly even a bit disappointing in terms of the animation. But going a little beyond the technical aspect of why this show is going to be so amazing when it finally comes out, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a brief synopsis for the beginning of the story here to maybe increase the hype a little bit. Sung Jin-woo is your average low-tier E-rank hunter, a newly available career after his modern-day world is invaded by monsters arriving from portals known as gates. Having been going on for a few decades now, the position is rather regulated, and even weaker hunters such as Sung Jin-woo are able to make somewhat of a living entering said gates to clear them and prevent the monsters from within escaping into the real world and wreaking havoc upon the normal citizens. But even with this standardization of the gates and how they are handled, accidents can happen. Needing money, as any normal employed citizen does, Sung Jin-woo finds himself joining a moderately experienced group of mid-level hunters and clearing out a low-end D-rank dungeon. All is going according to plan, and their group, without much difficulty, smoothly progresses through the dungeon. Up until they come across a second set of doors, leading into a previously undiscovered deeper section to the dungeon. Having put it to a vote, the group decides to head into the double dungeon, despite the objections of some. And they find themselves in a room full of huge statues, giving off an ominous feeling. Once the entire group of hunters enters, the doors shut behind them, blocking them inside. The statues come to life, quickly killing many of the assembled group, as if they could never be a threat to these insanely powerful foes. Sung Jin-woo and a few others realize that escape is impossible. They take a look around the room to see if there's any hope for survival. Noticing that one statue, the largest and most majestic of them, is holding a tablet with some rules engraved on it, suggests that they follow them in an attempt to survive. Reading the tablet, they're told to worship the Lord, praise the Lord, and to prove their faith. These literally become their words to live by, as those remaining follow along step by step, in an attempt to make it out of this hell. After they're whittled down to the final few of their group, things finally seem to be going well up until the last step when they are meant to prove their faith by standing within a circle of lit candles. As they approach the circle and enter it, suddenly the doors open. Sung Jin Woo unfortunately was heavily injured in the battle, making him unable to escape. And at least one person needs to remain on the altar to keep the exit open. The rest of the group deciding to abandon Sung Jin Woo to whatever fate awaits him. Escape. Left alone in the room with these ominous, deadly statues, Sung Jin Woo looks upon them, hating all of those who left him behind all the way, as the statues swing their massive weapons down upon him, apparently ending his life. And that is where we're going to go ahead and end it for now. As I said earlier, I don't want to get too far into it to avoid spoilers, but every time I read just that beginning part of the story, it leaves me with goosebumps every time. To find out what happens next, you'll either have to read the manhwa yourself, or wait for the anime to release next year. But with either option, I can definitely guarantee that you will not be disappointed. As you can probably tell, I'm definitely excited for Solo Leveling to finally be getting its own long-deserved anime, and hopefully if you weren't before, now you are too. Otherwise, if you're new to the idea of manhwa, I highly recommend giving it a chance, and if you aren't, please go ahead and suggest some of your favorites down in the comments below. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. And if you want more content from me, consider subscribing, as both can really help me out. Either way, I've been Waga Aruji, and I'll see you in the next one.